You ever wonder why the same singer sounds completely different in your living room than at a stadium? It is not magic, it is math. And today we are breaking down what performers actually change when the crowd shrinks to arm's length. Think about volume first, because a singer belting like it is a stadium show in a room built for 20 people is basically yelling at you over brunch. Intimate performers drop their output way down, sometimes trading a full voice for something closer to a whisper, with intention behind it. Here's the part nobody explains: eye contact becomes a tool instead of an accident. In a huge venue, you might get a wave in your general direction, but in a small setting, a performer can look right at you, and that tiny moment rewires how memorable the whole night feels. Now, let us talk physical space, because movement changes completely. A performer who normally sprints across a 40-foot stage suddenly has maybe 6 feet to work with. So big theatrical gestures get swapped for smaller, sharper ones that read just as strong up close. You would think smaller crowds mean less pressure, but honestly, it is the opposite. There's nowhere to hide when someone in the front row can literally see you sweat, so performers actually rehearse differently, knowing every flaw is visible. Let us bust a myth real quick. People assume intimate gigs are just the big show, but quieter. That is like saying a documentary is just a movie, but with less popcorn. The entire format and pacing get rebuilt from scratch. Interaction is the real game changer here. In a big venue, the crowd is one giant blob you perform at, but up close, you are basically having thousands of tiny one-on-one conversations packed into a single set. Comedians know this better than almost anyone. A joke that kills in an arena might completely flop in a coffee shop because the timing has to slow down, since laughter spreads differently when you can hear every individual chuckle instead of one big wave. Sound engineers deal with a wild challenge too. Acoustic treatment in a small room has to account for every cough and chair squeak, because unlike a massive hall swallowing noise, a tiny room amplifies every distraction like it is auditioning for the show itself. History actually backs this up, since way back in the 1920s, speakeasy performers built entire careers on reading a room of maybe 50 people. Adjusting songs on the fly based on who was laughing or crying at any given table, that skill basically vanished with the rise of stadium tours and had to be relearned decade after decade. Let us talk about vulnerability for a second, because intimate settings force performers to drop the armor. A giant persona built for Jumbotron screens looks almost silly, shrunk down to normal human size. So many performers develop a whole separate, stripped-down version of themselves just for these gigs. Here's a fun twist. Some artists actually prefer small settings even though it is objectively harder. There is nowhere for nerves to hide, so paradoxically, that pressure often produces the most emotionally honest performances of their entire career. Preparation looks different behind the scenes too, and this is the part people skip. Performers walk the actual room beforehand, checking sight lines and testing how sound bounces, because winging it in a tight space is basically asking for an awkward silence you cannot blame on bad acoustics. Vendors booking these acts have to think the same way, matching performer style to room size like it is a puzzle piece situation, not just picking whoever is available that weekend. Get that match wrong and you either get someone shouting into a shoebox or someone too quiet for a barn-sized crowd. So next time you are at a small event and the performer feels weirdly close and personal in a good way, you are witnessing a totally different skill set than what you would see on a festival stage. Want to learn more about how we help match the right vendors to the right spaces? Check out our links in the description.